He's keeping that in.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to You and I Builder Live. I hope you enjoyed the new graphics as much as I did. Oh no, Kim, you could hear me? Welcome, everybody.
We're audible during the intro, which made it better.
I didn't know we were. Perfect. Thank you, producer. So welcome, everybody, to You and I Builder Live, another fun episode of silliness, and now Vancouver. See, if this was the developer advocates, they have like some like little Vancouver logo here to point to. So let's just pretend we also have it, and then we can add it in post, right?
Well played. Well played.
This is perfect. Awesome. So, Brad, what are we doing today?
All right. Today, we are going to, we don't have a huge plan for today. We're going to try to build some stuff out just using mostly new Vancouver stuff. So the purpose of today is really to highlight some of the new Vancouver features. And, you know, hopefully we build some things as well. I knew it would end up there, the Vancouver release thing. So let me, hold on. First, let me open something before we switch into a screen share.
So everybody, if this is your first time with us, hello, Sam. How are you doing? Welcome to You and I Builder Live. We have this show the second and the fourth Thursday of every month at 4 p.m. Eastern. We also have another live stream webinar thing that we do on the third Wednesday of every month. That's our Next Experience Academy. You should also tune into that. It's at 11 a.m. Eastern. Was that enough time, Brad?
Yeah, that was good. We're all right.
Okay, perfect. Let's go.
And we're there. Okay.
Your face.
Yeah, there we go. This is, I'm pretty sure it's a Vancouver instance. So today we're going to get into mostly UIB Vancouver stuff, but should we do the little toolbar thing first? Should we enable that in the instance? Do you remember the property name?
I have it written down here. Just give me 2 quick seconds to hunt that down. We have to make a new property for this. And of course, the SSO decides to make me log in now.
We're going to create a new property, and it's going to make magic happen in the instance. I mean, Vancouver's been out. People probably know what this is, but except I'm going to do it global. If only I could set the scope easier.
If only you could. You know, I think I heard that there's this new bar that does it. It's loading right now for me.
All right.
So something that's really cool is if you haven't heard about the Developer MVP program, basically it's a program there to highlight and amplify the voices of developers in the community. You can apply to be selected every year. And I had the privilege of being an MVP twice. And part of that was actually getting to give, part of the cool parts about being an MVP is that the developer advocates back then arranged a session where I got to give feedback to product managers in ServiceNow, and this is the result of what it is, of what our feedback session was. So I'm typing the property in the chat, in our backstage chat. Let me know if you got that.
Okay.
And then you have to set the value to false.
There's like 5 chats where we can type things to each other.
Awesome. So this.
Is it a string? Does it matter?
Yep. String and then value false.
UI. Oh, instance tools disabled, false. All right.
I know. I love it.
Do I have to log out and log back in? Probably.
No, just a hard browser refresh, and now you can see it in the top right corner.
It changed, and so now I can click on Show Instance Tools, and I get a new. What do we call this? Is this an admin toolbar?
The Instance Tools admin bar.
Sure. What is this called? Instance Tools. We'll call it the Instance Toolbar. So I get global. I get the application picker, the update set picker. I believe domain picker shows up. There's 5 pickers, I believe, that show up here. Language may be another one. But yeah, so
it's application pickers, scope, update set, domain, and encryption. But more may be added in the future.
Yeah, and so that's one of the reasons why it's a new bar. We've got 5 pickers that can show up here, and then obviously there is not enough space here, especially if you make use of the admin configurable menus, which are kind of awesome and you can do all sorts of cool stuff with. So we've got a new toolbar, and this actually pulls from a system property that used to show next to the logo. But now, like, you could, label your instances differently here and that sort of thing. So this is kind of the admin developer toolbar, and who knows what we end up putting here in the future. I think we've got some space and some room to do things. So yeah, so that was number 1. Yes, there you can do some things like open the list, open the individual record, or actually create a new update set from here. I don't think you can create a new app. Yeah, that'd be kind of weird.
That would be.
Yeah, you can create a new update set from the menu here. So that's a fun new Vancouver feature. And obviously something that people have been asking for since San Diego when we released the new UI. And we finally have the pickers back. Unless you were using SNUtils, and then they've been back for a while. All right, so let's go ahead and open UI Builder without further ado. Before we do that, let's look at some workspace stuff. Let's see if Service Operations Workspace has uptake in this. So we're kind of flying by the seat of our pants here. So one of the things that we added in Workspace, so we do have a question: is admin bar stylable through themes?
I was answering that in the chat. So it will change. Yeah, it will change according to the theme you have applied. I have it currently pink in my instance because it's all pink. I haven't checked to see if it has any independent hooks or if it just uses the default primary, secondary hooks. But it does change color according to what you have.
Yeah, it looks like header bar is using...
Earl, move our faces.
Oh, yeah. Where are we at? So header bar is using what? I don't see a background color yet.
Go to the higher class, the actual header dash bar.
So header bar was not anything. We're down. I think it's the Polaris bar. We have a background color in here somewhere.
Oh, here it is. It's under utility bar, the class.
Oh, for the utility bar. Yeah, I
started
color with the header bar. Background color.
There
yeah.
It is.
So it's Chrome Brand 8 is the theming hook for the background bar. So you absolutely could theme this. I think one cool thing that you could do would be to disable that property in production, so that in production you don't have this bar or the pickers, and then in your subprods you do have the bar or the pickers. And that's kind of maybe a better way to know that you're in production rather than just colors. Is like, hey, I can't select an update set, I must be in production. So, all right, what was I doing here? Oh, let's open an incident and see if I get a. we did some email stuff in Vancouver. I don't know if you have to do anything to implement it. So we're just going to see if it shows up here. Go away. Work notes private. Do I have email? Compose email. No. So it may not be. So we did do some email things where you can drag and drop people from to CC and BCC. You can add attachments and forward attachments now. And then the other thing that we added, I don't see here, but I don't know. I don't know if there's something you have to do to add it, but you can also add email here and compose an email from the activity formatter. Do I have to be in details maybe? No. All right, there's a way to add this. I, again, didn't do any prep for this session. So, yeah, you can add this. All right, so without further ado, let's get into UI Builder itself, because that's what we're doing here.
What are we doing here, Brad?
Well, that is really the question. Let's go. Oh, we're going to use the picker in UIB. So one of the things, let's see, I should get the new, why do I have the old fave icon? I should have the new one. So one of the things we're doing is really trying to unify the way that all of our builders look. So UI Builder, catalog, form builder, all of the different builders, we're really trying to unify the way that they look and act. And so you'll notice that in Utah, UI Builder got a little bit of a facelift, and then it continues into Vancouver. And so that's why we have a new icon here. This should be a new icon. I probably have to do like a hard refresh or something, which I'm not going to do. But we're going to go ahead and open one of my workspaces. Ooh, that's it. I may or may not have been singing the alphabet in my head to figure out where F was. But
I'm glad I'm not the only one.
All the time. All right, so we're going to switch to the scope. And so the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to create a new variant for our homepage. And so this is an app that's from my knowledge lab this year, which was CCL 1200, creating a killer workspace using UI Builder, where it kind of walks you through building out a workspace, or basically modifying a workspace that's already created. So we're going to add a variant to a new page. We're going to add it to the home page.
And why are we adding a variant instead of duplicating?
I'm going to add a variant because I want to start from scratch. Because let's say this homepage is for a persona that does not care about anything that's on any of the existing homepages. So we want to build it from scratch, kind of know what we're looking for. We did get some new templates, I think. I don't think we had all these playbook templates in Utah, although we may have had some of them. But we've got some new playbook templates to where if you're building a page with a playbook on it, you can use one of these templates. But we're going to go ahead and create from scratch. We're going to call this Vancouver landing page, because I am just very creative. All right, Vancouver landing page is there. So one of the things I'm going to do is we're actually going to click into the settings, and we're going to set it at 50. So this is not the landing page that I would get if I just opened the page up in the runtime, because there's another page that is listed before it. I guess we have to go back to experience view, right? So we have the dispatcher homepage, and then if I don't meet this audience, then I'd get the Vancouver landing page. So remember that, because it'll be important as I'm planning out what we're doing in my head as we're doing things. All right, there's a couple of things that we notice right away, or a few things that I notice at least. So we'll start over here. One of the things is that we have a new popover. We have a new popover option here. So a popover is something new in Vancouver. It is similar to a modal in that based on some sort of action, most of the time a click, I'm going to show something. And so sometimes that's a modal, but sometimes it's a popover. So the difference between a modal and a popover generally is that a modal takes all of the focus onto one area. So that's a good thing. If you need somebody to do something before they do anything else, a modal is the way to go. Sometimes you just want to provide somebody more information if they click on something, but you want them to still be able to read everything else on the page or do something else. And in that case, we get a popover. And so we'll go ahead and work with the popover in a minute, but I want to show some of the other things as well. So we'll get to the right area in a minute. You'll notice that we have this pink outline instead of the blue outline, or you may have noticed that. But let's go ahead and add a component. So what we introduced yet another layout model. So we've had a couple of different layout engines. This is a new one. The nice thing about this one is that it really shines when you're adding it to a new page. If you have an existing page that's already laid out, you don't really need this new layout model as much. And so this is a really nice way to create column layouts, which is something that people were really asking for. So something like this layout, where I have something in the middle and I want to put some stuff on the sides, is pretty easy to do. So let's go ahead and do this one. All right, so this looks pretty new. We've got this column layout here. It's got 3 different columns. We can set percentages. And so I think, can I click into this? There's a way to edit. I can move things around. I can add content in here. I can add new column layouts within an existing column layout. So I can nest content. And then I also have the ability to kind of walk up and down the content tree from the stage here instead of having to click into different things. But if I click into this one column, can I change I can change those numbers somehow. Actually, I don't have a ton of hands-on Vancouver yet. I know I can change that. What if, no. All right, we're going to figure that out. Oh, can I just drag it? Oh, there we go. So I don't know why I would do this, but I can drag and resize these, but I'm pretty sure I can type that in somewhere. Yeah, so then we've got some options over here for the column layout. I can, add more columns, and it'll kind of auto redo those things. So let's go back to 3. The other thing that we did was something that we call progressive disclosure. So if you'll remember, this used to be a lot busier over on the right with styling. And so what we've done is we've taken out some of those style options, and really just shown the main ones that people do most of the time. We have some data around this is what people do most of the time when they're doing styling. And so that's what we've added here. The other thing that I love is we've taken some things that were just basically you set, margin and then set some values, or padding and set some values. And we've made them a little bit more visual. So if you're not a CSS expert and you always have to check which one's margin and which one's padding, this is helpful. So we could come in and set, or on the body element, maybe I want to come in and set some padding, which is something that I would generally do. The other thing that we did is a lot of these, instead of actually, setting a value and then checking what it did and then setting it again and checking what it did, you have a visual representation of, how big that is. So we'll go ahead and I'm going to use large for the padding. So now our page has some padding. Not everything's going to go all the way to the edges. But that was...
Can you edit them separately?
What do you mean?
Can I edit like the bottom padding on what you just set?
You generally can. Let's see. Use custom CSS. What if we say show advanced?
What if you just click on a number?
The individual ones. There we go. I could go
Nice.
padding overall, or I can click into the individual ones.
Nice.
All right. So again, we've got the progressive disclosure. So I said, let's click into the configuration for the body. And, we have a lot more options now for all of those. And then I think we have a few more. What else do we do? Yeah, so border, we added some things that are more visual, like in terms of thickness and type, and then corner shape. We have some options here where you can, use words, or if you're like, come on, I know what my CSS variable I need is, you could use that as well. And then shadow, I think we did some of that with shadow too. This actually doesn't look super helpful, but it's visual. So yeah, we added a lot of, this was a lot of the feedback we were getting that, if you're not a CSS expert, you generally pick something, save it, render it. How did this go? And that sort of thing. So we added shadow. I don't really want shadow though. So let's undo this. What? Undo. So there's
an undo button?
Added. Yes.
Pause for the gasps.
Yeah. So we added undo and redo, and then, it works generally like undo and redo work. It also goes back, I think, around 20 actions, and it persists across a save. So I can save this, and then I can still go back before I saved. The one thing, it does not persist across, so it's only in this session. So if I refresh my browser, I lose my undo history. If I navigate somewhere else and come back, I lose my undo history. So it's while I'm looking at the page, it's that specific session. That is not where we want to be long-term with undo redo, but I can't give you any more roadmap than that. But for now, it goes about 20 actions, I think. And it persists across save. The other cool thing is our preview that I'll show in just a minute. So let's go ahead and add at least something to the page here.
Quick, Earl, flash safe harbor.
Let's go.
We have a question from the chat.
Yeah.
Is there a hotkey for undo and redo?
Yes, undo. It's the normal hotkey. So you can go forwards and backwards with Control or Command Z.
Yes, Kim. In Windows, it would be Control C.
There we go. I just did a Command Z. Let's go Command Y, and now we have our second one back. Z and Y. Here, let's go Z again. We mouse over it, tells us, wait, redo.
No, it's Command Shift Z. Is Command Y copy?
I don't. Command Shift Z. I don't think that's right. I just did Y.
That's.
Well, let's see if Command Shift
Adobe
Z works.
style, yeah.
Both. All right. I'm going to figure out what Command Y is. We'll see. We'll see what's going on there. But yeah.
Try Control C.
I don't think we do copy paste yet. You can. Control D has worked for a while, I believe, for duplicates.
Oh.
Utah. So we are. So these keyboard shortcuts, you will see more keyboard shortcuts. So that is a thing that we have heard and people think is important. So let's go. We're going to do a couple of things real quick. So one of the things we did was we split out the component toolbox into layouts and components.
Earl, change our faces so we can see what do we need to know right above me.
So layouts and components to clean it up a little bit. You'll notice when I'm in a column in a container already, it defaults to components. When we added the layout from the body, it defaulted to layouts. So we're trying to do some, we're trying to do some contextual awareness here. But I'm going to go ahead and add a list component. Could not find list. What? Am I in the wrong spot? Okay. It's not great.
It's gaslighting you. The list component never existed.
It's here. Does anything work? No. All right.
Try button?
I will be sending some messages soon. Yeah. Well, it's here. So something's up with the search in my instance. Oh, Paige, I hope it's not case sensitive. Let's
do
just
it.
Oh, gosh.
No. Okay,
all
good.
Right. That's not it. Would that be worse than it not working at all? I think it would be.
Do asterisk.
No.
Okay, good.
All right, something's going on. Maybe it still needs to index or something. Mostly kidding. All right, so we added a list. There's another new component that we added. I'm not going to open a high ticket. I'm going to send messages to people that own this stuff. What's the, there we go. Is it in here? Before I say anything, oh, this is a good one. So we added a couple of new components in Vancouver. So we added date time and then this date time interval. These are new. We did support these types of fields, or we supported a date time field in a form. But we are going to add date time interval. These are both new fields that you can add directly to a page. So we're going to do date time interval. I've not messed with this before, so I don't know how it's supposed to work. But let's see if we can get like a date involved. Can y'all hear kids yelling in the background on my stream? So I may have to go yell at somebody.
I think you're good.
There you go. I don't even know how this looks. So let's preview it. I'm not going to save it. I'm just going to preview it. This is one of the other Vancouver features. This may be the best or one of the best Vancouver features is this preview. So the cool thing about the preview is that it lets you preview a page you haven't saved yet, and it lets you preview the specific variant you're working with. So previous to Vancouver, if you had a page that had like 10 variants, in order to test that page, you either had to test with a user that would see that variant or data that would show that variant, or you had to reorder the variant so your admin user could test it. In Vancouver, we added this ability to go ahead and preview and test a page without having to save it first or without having to have the right roles to see that variant. My little date thing doesn't even appear at all, so that's kind of fun. So let's go ahead and see what we need to configure. It makes sense that it doesn't show up because it also doesn't show up in my preview here. Unless this, leave this property empty. Well, that's helpful. What does adaptive mean? Let's say adaptive, size, gap, small, disabled. So it's there. So label, select start date. Looks like it should work. You know, it would have been nice if I had made sure this component actually works before we test it out.
It's okay. That'll make people come back. We can promise
right.
We'll do it in a future segment.
Next time.
I guess you just have to watch another episode, guys. I'm sorry.
Why doesn't it show up? I'm going to save this page. What do you need, date time interval? Let's see if we have some, ouch. There's no link to the documentation here, which there normally is. All right, we're doing a hard refresh here. Still no new fave icon. That's fine. I didn't want it anyway. All right, let's go date time. It still doesn't look like it shows up. Let's preview it. I got this. All right. I don't know. I have a couple of notes now. Daytime doesn't work. Right. What else? Let me look through and see what else we have here. Or date range picker, not date time.
Lena, I also am invested in the refrigerator workspace. Brad, do you want to tell them what happened to it?
I think I may have Z-booted the instance that it was on and forgotten to save it. But
oof.
I think Carlene recreated it and has a blog post about it if you want to download her update set. Oh, let's do this. Let's play with the popover. I haven't messed with that yet. That'll be fun. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and we're going to get rid of that one.
And Earl, I shared the link to the documentation for the date time picker. If anybody wants extra credit and a shout out on our next episode, if you want to try to figure out how it works, let us know. Let's see if I can beat you to it.
No. All right. We're going to add a button that generates a popover. Let's go ahead. Say we're going to center this, put it all the way in the middle. I want to add, can I not add padding within a column? Interesting. Okay. All right, so my button, we're not going to give any, wow, that's a lot of presets. No presets for my button. We're going to call it popover ? Because I haven't actually used a popover yet. Let's make it a primary. I'm going to make it big. All right, so there's my button. So let's add a popover here. Custom popover. So this is my custom popover. Let's put, what are we going to put in here?
Can we have a button inside of a popover?
Let's
pop up another popover?
Yeah, that's what we're going to do, a button. There we go. This button. So no presets for this guy. And then what should we, how about close popover? And then can we move these around? Oh, we can. Nice. All right. So, oh, it automatically added a container for us. I did not add that container. I did not know this was a feature, and I love it. So we got a container inside the popover. So now we can do things like put it in the middle, add some padding. There we go.
What does margin do? Oh, no, it's the container inside the popover. So
yeah, margin I think would also work probably. Yeah.
Yeah.
So the container, like if we added a background, and the background would just be in the, well, let's see. Let's mess with it. Yeah. So this is margin, the white part, and then padding is the gray part. Let's leave it. And then, all right, so we're going to say this button is going to, I assume we have a open popover.
And then advanced close?
No, advanced.
Oh, I don't think there's a.
Well, maybe we have to add open first. Let's cancel, and then let's go back to this button.
I don't think there's a close popover. I think it just closes if you take focus off of it.
Oh, that may be true. Let's see. All right, so we're going to open the popover. I mean, that makes sense.
It does.
When I can create a new one from here. Oh, that's helpful. Does the modal do that now? No. Okay.
No.
It is a good practice to rename your modals and popovers because especially with popovers, you can have a bunch of them.
Do as Brad says, not as Brad does.
I mean, I'm not going to do that, but it's a good practice. All right, let's see. Popover. We got a popover. So that doesn't do anything. And if I close out of it, it goes away. That makes sense. There is no close. And that makes sense. If you need something to where you have to have somebody interact with it and then close it in a certain way, that's what a modal is for. A popover is really more informational. So you can think about, if you have like an incident overview tab that you have a whole bunch of stuff on it and you want to give an area where somebody can like see more things, popover is great for that. And so let's, I actually have a spot where that could work. That doesn't matter. Oh, we still have a lot of time left. Let's see. We did the preview, undo, redo, styling. The other cool thing is the What's New button. So What's New for Vancouver, it'll kind of walk you through all of the different things that are new. I don't think we're supposed to have a more thing here. Anyway, it'll walk you through kind of the three main things: preview, undo, redo, column layouts, popovers that are new in Vancouver for UI Builder. And that's kind of a nice thing. It'll be enhanced for future releases. But, more in-product help like this is always good so that you don't have to go read the release notes after you upgrade.
Have there been any changes to the data section of configuring a component in, just the data section?
This is the data section. I think we made some maybe some UI improvements. Let's go look at a workspace that has a bunch of data. I think we lost our popover just then. So sad.
No, whatever will we do?
We'll never get it back. Yes, I believe the popover is anchored to whatever component launches it, but that's a really good question that we're going to test in just a minute. So let's go ahead and look at, let's go to the record page here, because I know it has some data resources. I think we did a little bit. So we did do a little bit here where it's more visual updates, but you can kind of open that data resource record from here. But this is more just kind of styling and making it easier to read these things and giving you the ID here without having to click into it and see it here. So that's that. Yeah, that's all we did with data in Vancouver, I guess is how I'll end that part of it. I don't know that I would expect that section to be locked in stone forever.
Safe harbor.
All right, so let's go back to my fleet management, and that was a good question about where the popover gets anchored. I believe it gets anchored to wherever whatever launches it, but let's test that out.
As a former portal dev, the ability to make a popover just like that just warms my soul. Trying to make them happen on widgets can be a pain if you don't know how, and it's beautiful.
All right, let's recreate my popover.
I also really like the visual representation of Flexbox and Grid. I like that addition.
That is nice, yeah. wonder, anybody else unable to search that has played with Vancouver? I don't think I've run into that yet, which makes me think it's not like an all Vancouver thing.
I'm testing it.
That's too much. All right. A button. It could just be the instance that I'm in. All right, so we're going to create a couple of buttons, and we'll go left popover.
It's just your instance.
Nice. Great.
It's not actually broken.
Now I get to zboot an instance. Well, what if we add some padding in here? Sort of helped. All right, we're gonna redo that. So left popover, we're gonna launch a popover. It's gonna be our custom one. And then now we're gonna duplicate it. Make that one go away. And then we'll call this one right popover. Oh, I didn't have to save, but I did anyway. All right, so left popover, there's the popover, right popover, there's this. So the popover always is anchored to whatever component launches it, which makes sense.
What happens when you scroll the page?
I don't have enough on this page to scroll, but we can fix that very easily.
Because that was something that was difficult with Portal.
All right, let's add a list.
Nope.
Oh, I'm never going to get over this. I probably need to index something.
Or in a second.
Or run a cache.do on the instance.
In a second, if we can take a look at why that form component is yellow, that'd be interesting.
Oh, nice. Yeah. So left popover, I scroll.
It goes away.
Oh, it's back. So it's part of the scroll.
That's perfect.
Yeah, so it is as long as you don't click on anything. All right. So we're looking at why the component is yellow.
Yeah.
I believe it's because it has a preset, or it's part of a.
It's a bundle.
It's a bundle. That's it. Yeah.
So go ahead and add it to the form so we can show what happens to some other ones. Rather, add it to the page.
All right. So when you apply it, you say, okay, it's going to also add a controller data resource, and then the controller data resource needs a whole bunch of URL properties. So we're going to add all of those parameters as well. So you can say, no, I want to do this manually. Don't do that. Just add the stuff. That's a real weird spot that I added the form. Oh, no, it was in the middle here. That actually makes sense. All right. And then
try adding another one.
It adds a default thing here. You want me to add another form?
Another component.
Oh, okay.
What are all these green things?
So the green things, I see where we're going here. The green things are all they are all components that are compatible with the controller on my page, I believe. Yeah. So that form component added its own form controller. And so the form controller is the data resource that goes with the form. And so those are all of the preset enabled components that are compatible with that controller. So a preset enabled component, if I add it to the page, it's going to ask me, it may auto configure itself. Well, we can check it out. But basically, it's going to try to auto configure itself because there is already a controller on the page. So let's go, like if I wanted to add my action bar somewhere else, All right, we've got close task and save. And so it already used the form controller. This part's a little bit new. We're trying to make it more obvious that, hey, these things that are locked that already have values, they have values because of this. If I click on form controller, it'll open this up, and then I'll kind of see how I got to this. So, right, the actions are coming from this tab on my controller. We are trying to make this even better in the future, to where you can, you have a better idea of why these properties are set the way that they are. But for now, that's what we've got.
We have a question in the chat. Do workspaces have search sources like we have in Portal?
There is some ability to do, searching in workspaces. There's a whole lot of different ways to set up a search in workspace. One of the things about searching in workspace is that if I am in a workspace, I already have a search bar up here. So this is generally what you would set up when you're searching in a workspace. So it's not really, your search bar is not specific to the workspace. It's going to show up whatever workspace you open. And it's going to default to search whatever workspace you have open, but it can actually search any of them or global. I love that this page is not found. That's fun. Yeah. I think that's...
Do popovers have options on where it pops over? Like, can I choose it?
I think it always pops over the component that launched it.
No, I mean, like, can I have it pop under my component? Do they have orientations?
Good question. I think so. Oh. Let's set bottom. So I think auto probably looks at where you are on the page, but let's set it to bottom. Oh, disable scroll. Let's see what that means. Oh, and hide tail. I think that means we don't get the little pointer. So let's...
Oh, and you can even hide the tail. Nice.
See what all those mean.
All these UIB modal nightmares.
All right, now it's on the bottom. There's no tail, and then I can't scroll. Oh, that's a nice little feature. So, oh, I can scroll. Oh, I can't scroll if I'm in the popover.
Oh, because it's got focus.
Yeah, let's see if I don't say disable scroll.
Oh, disables.
No, it's the same. I don't know what that means.
What does disable scroll mean?
I don't know. Well, it should tell us. It does not.
We have a rush request. Pop over on hover, please.
It just depends on what the component... So popover always fires on an event. So if the component has a hover event, which I believe some of them do, you can fire the popover on hover. So this is one of the things about UIB, is that it is event driven. So it's a reactive framework. So you're always reacting to something. So a component has to fire an event in order to do something. So popover is not tied to a click or a hover or anything. It's tied to an event. So if a thing has an event, you can tie a popover to it. So it just, if that component has a hover event, you can tie a popover to it. If it doesn't have a hover event and you want it to, you could create your own component. Like if it's a button, the buttons don't have a hover event. They only have a click event. So you could absolutely, build that out yourself in a custom component.
That's a pretty awesome way of thinking about it. Is there any last minute things or any last minute questions that we want to ask in the chat before we head out for the day, y'all? How am I? I'm doing great. Thank you for asking, Earl. My favorite food is probably ramen or sushi. What about you, Brad?
Oh, I like so many foods. I just like really good food is the main thing. I'm not too specific. Seafood is probably, if I'm able to get the best food, it's probably seafood. All right, Earl, no more questions.
Anybody? I'm playing Pikmin 4.
I made a big list of things that I want to get done around the house. It's really exciting. So I mentioned building custom components. I think on our next UNI Builder Live, we're going to try to do some custom components. So there is some new component stuff, components in CLI in Vancouver. So we're going to kind of take a look at some of the new component features. And then I think we are going to be able to have somebody on that's going to show us how to use the new debugging tools that we have released. There's a debugging Chrome extension. And so we'll have somebody on to teach us how to use that. And then we'll do some, this is crazy. And then we will do some CLI stuff. We'll at least go over like what's new, and then we'll build a little custom component. The CLI is updated. It's not even being updated. It's already updated, I am told. I haven't actually touched it yet, but it should be updated. So yeah, with the CLI, we support a newer version of Node. We fixed some of the bugs around deploying events and deploying components, and I believe we have taken out the instance release version checker. So that's kind of step one in getting things updated. And then we have the new dev tools that we'll take a look at.
Our first ever guest.
Hopefully, yeah. I think we'll get it done.
So everybody, thank you so much for hanging out with us today. It was a lot of fun. I'm going to forever remember that we're live before we go live. Be sure to tune in 2 weeks. We're going to be back here on the 24th of August. Remember, 2nd and 4th week. It's a great time to bring a friend. You don't get a referral bonus or anything like that, but it'd be great if you told everybody about us. Thanks. Other than that, any last words, Brad?
No, I'm excited about a lot of the stuff we see in Vancouver. I think there's some really good kind of quality of life updates. And if I'm new to UI Builder and creating a new page, that's a lot easier. So I think we're making steps in the right direction on making UI Builder really easy to use.
Awesome. Thank you, Brad. Everybody have a happy Thursday, and we'll see you around. Bye. That was on sync.
Impressive. Our rehearsals are working.
Yeah.
We know.